Hello everyone, welcome to NightTales. I am Seifel. I hope you all are doing well. Today, I am going to tell you the story of a massacre that remains the biggest unsolved riddle in German history. This is a story of a murder that becomes more tangled the deeper you go into it. But the question isn't just about who did it. It's about the strange, mysterious, and terrifying things that happened surrounding this case. Our story begins in the state of Bavaria, about 70 kilometers from Munich, in a small village called Grobern. The year was 1921. Slightly away from the village, about 500 meters into the edge of the woods, stood a lone farmhouse known as Hinterkaifeck. It was surrounded by thick forests on three sides, isolated and silent. In this farmhouse lived a family of six: Andreas Gruber, the 63-year-old patriarch, his wife, Cecilia, aged 72, their widowed daughter, Victoria Gabriel, 35, and her two children, 7-year-old Cecilia and 2-year-old Joseph. Living with them was their maid. Andreas was a wealthy farmer, but he was not liked by the villagers. He was known for his violent temper, often beating his wife and children. But there was another reason the villagers avoided him, a dark secret I will reveal later. Everything seemed normal until one night things began to shift. The family's maid, Crescence Rieger, began hearing footsteps coming from the attic. Now, the attic was just a storage space for old tools and hay. Andreas went up to check, but found nothing. He dismissed it as the maid's imagination, but the sounds didn't stop. The maid became so terrified, convinced that the house was haunted by a ghost, that she eventually quit and left the farm in late 1921. After she left, the rumors spread. No one in the village wanted to work at the haunted Hinterkaifeck. Andreas struggled to find a replacement. Then, one night, Andreas himself was woken up by the sound of footsteps. He searched the entire house with his lantern, but again, he found no one. He began to notice strange things. Objects were being moved when no one was home. Sometimes, the family would return from the fields to find their cattle and horses led out into the pasture, even though they had locked them in the barn. In March 1922, the mystery deepened. Andreas found a newspaper in his house that he had never bought. It was a newspaper from Munich, 70 kilometers away. He asked his family, but no one had brought it. He asked the postman, who confirmed he didn't deliver that paper. Then, the house keys went missing. A few days later, after a fresh snowfall, Andreas found footprints leading from the forest to his machine room. The lock on the door was broken. But here is the chilling part. There were footprints leading to the house, but no footprints leading back into the forest. Whoever had come in was still inside. On Friday, March 31st, 1922, a new maid named Maria Baumgartner finally arrived. She was 44 and didn't care about the ghost stories. She just needed a job. Her sister dropped her off at 5 p.m. By 6 p.m., the sister left. That was the last time anyone saw the family alive. The next day, Saturday, coffee dealers arrived at the farm, but no one answered. On Sunday, Victoria didn't show up at church, where she sang in the choir every week. The villagers noticed smoke rising from the chimney, so they assumed the family was just busy. On Monday, the postman noticed that the Saturday newspaper was still sitting where he left it. Finally, on Tuesday, April 4th, the neighbors, Lorenz Schlittenbauer and others, went to investigate. They entered the barn. It was dark. As Lorenz walked through the hay, his foot hit something. He looked down and saw a human foot sticking out from the straw. They uncovered the bodies. Andreas, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria, and young Cecilia were all found stacked on top of each other. Their heads had been crushed with a heavy, sharp tool. Inside the house, they found the toddler, Joseph, dead in his cot. In the servants' room, they found the new maid, Maria, murdered in her bed. She hadn't even unpacked her bags. But here is where the story turns truly bizarre. The autopsy revealed they were all killed on Friday night. Yet, for the next 4 days, the chimney was smoking. The neighbors saw it. Someone had cooked meals in the kitchen. The food was still fresh. Someone had fed the cattle and milked the cows. The killer had stayed in the house with the corpses for 4 days, living like a member of the family. The investigation was a disaster. The neighbors had walked all over the crime scene, destroying evidence. The police found the family's money and jewelry untouched. It wasn't a robbery. So, who was the killer? One theory points to Lorenz, the neighbor. He had a complicated relationship with Victoria. Another theory suggests Victoria's husband, Carl, who was reported dead in World War I, had actually survived and returned to find his wife involved in a dark secret. You see, it was rumored that Andreas had been in an incestuous relationship with his daughter Victoria, and young Joseph was actually Andreas's son. This was the dark secret that made the village hate Andreas. In 1923, the farm was demolished. Hidden in the attic, workers found the murder weapon, a blood-stained mattock. It had been there the whole time. The police had searched the house with dogs but never found it. Even after 100 years, the case remains open. The skulls of the victims were sent to Munich for study and were mysteriously lost during the bombings of World War II. Today, the family lies in a grave, headless. No one knows who lived in that house for those 4 days. Was it a man? Or was it the presence the first maid warned them about? The silence of Hinterkaifeck remains unbroken. I am Seifel, and you are watching NightTales. If you want to hear more such mysteries, subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourselves. Thank you.